The world around you is chaos. Someone criticizes you. Your phone buzzes with bad news. Deadlines are crashing in. Yet, somehow, you feel nothing but stillness inside. No anger, no anxiety, just peace. Sounds impossible, right? But imagine standing in the middle of a storm and realizing that the wind can't touch you. That's what true inner strength feels like. You've probably wondered, how do some people stay so calm even when everything falls apart? They lose jobs, relationships, money. Yet they walk through life with that quiet confidence, that sense of unshakable peace. It's not because their life is easier. It's because they've trained their minds to stay centered no matter what happens outside. Buddha once said, "Peace comes from within. Do not seek it without." But what does that really mean? It means that everything you're chasing, happiness, validation, control, all of it is fragile because it depends on things that can disappear. The only peace that lasts is the one you build inside yourself. Think about it. When someone insults you, where does the pain really come from? Not from their words, but from your reaction to them. When plans fall apart, what hurts isn't the situation itself, it's the story you tell yourself about it. We're not destroyed by life, we're destroyed by how we think about life. So what if you could learn to master that reaction? To stay grounded like a mountain, no matter how strong the storm gets. To look at chaos, and instead of saying, "Why is this happening to me?" you whisper, "What is this teaching me?" That shift, that's where freedom begins. And that's exactly what today's video is about. We're going to explore 10 Buddhist principles, 10 timeless truths that can help you reach that state of unshakable calm. These aren't abstract teachings locked in temples or books. They're living, breathing practices that monks, teachers, and even modern thinkers use to navigate daily life. From handling criticism, to letting go of control, to facing uncertainty with grace. Because here's the truth. The world will never stop testing you. But the moment you stop reacting and start responding with awareness, that's when you become untouchable. So as you listen today, I invite you to slow down, take a breath, and imagine a version of yourself that no longer needs the world to be calm in order to feel calm. That version of you, peaceful, grounded, untouchable, already exists. It's just waiting for you to remember who you are beneath all the noise. Stay with me till the end of this video, because by the time we're done, you'll not only understand what it means to be unshakable, you'll feel it. 1. The garden of the mind. Have you ever noticed how your mind can feel like a battlefield some days? 1,000 thoughts, pulling you in 1,000 directions, each one louder than the last? Now imagine, instead, that your mind is a garden. Every thought, every reaction, every belief is a seed. Some seeds grow into flowers, patience, compassion, gratitude. Others grow into weeds, anger, envy, fear. And the truth is, whatever you water grows. Buddha once said, "What you think, you become." It's not just poetry. It's a warning. If your mind is constantly filled with judgment, worry, or resentment, then your life begins to mirror that storm inside you. Let me tell you a story. There was once a man, let's call him Ethan. Ethan was kind, hard-working, and deeply loved by his friends. But no matter how much he achieved, his mind never stopped racing. He woke up anxious, spent the day overthinking, and went to bed replaying conversations from 10 years ago. He didn't realize it then, but he was feeding the weeds. Every worry he replayed, every grudge he watered, was choking the peace growing quietly beneath. One day, during a meditation retreat, a monk told him, "Your thoughts are guests. You don't have to serve them tea." That hit him hard, because for the first time, He saw how he'd become a servant to his own mind. He believed every story his thoughts told him. He fought every emotion that came. And in doing so, he exhausted himself. So he began a new practice. Every morning, before checking his phone, he sat for just 5 minutes. He would close his eyes, take a breath, and simply watch his thoughts. Not chase them, not fix them, just observe. At first, it was chaos. His mind screamed for attention. But slowly, he noticed something miraculous. His thoughts were like clouds. They came, they passed, and beneath them, there was always clear sky. That's when he realized he was not his thoughts. He was the awareness watching them. The garden didn't need to be perfect. It just needed a gardener who cared. Your mind works the same way. If you constantly think, "I'm not enough," you're planting weeds that will take over your inner garden. But if you pause and remind yourself, "I am growing, I am learning, I am becoming," you're planting seeds of peace. This isn't about positive thinking. It's about conscious thinking. Because mindfulness isn't forcing yourself to feel good all the time. It's noticing what's growing inside you and choosing what to water. Every complaint waters the weeds. Every moment of gratitude feeds the flowers. Every breath you take with awareness pulls out a root of suffering. Meditation, in that sense, is the gardener's tool, the spade that loosens the soil, the sunlight that wakes up the flowers. It helps you see that behind all your thoughts, there's something constant, something still. It's like realizing that beneath the noise of traffic, there's a silence that never left. Beneath the storm, there's always the sky. And once you've tasted that stillness, you start to understand. You are not the voice in your head. You are the awareness listening to it. Here's something powerful to remember. You can't stop thoughts from coming, but you can stop giving them power. You can't stop weeds from appearing, but you can choose not to water them. So, the next time anger rises, don't fight it. Just notice it. There's anger. Watch how it moves. Watch how it fades. When fear comes, don't run. Sit with it. Let it speak. Then let it go. This is how you become the master gardener of your mind. Not by controlling every plant, but by creating the right conditions for peace to grow naturally. Ethan once said, after months of practice, "I used to think peace meant quieting my thoughts. Now I know peace means not being ruled by them." And that's it, really. Peace isn't the absence of noise. It's the ability to stay still within it. So take a moment today, just one. Close your eyes. Notice what thoughts arise. Ask yourself, is this a flower or a weed? And whatever answer comes, choose gently what to water next. Because the garden of your mind is the only place you truly live. And when you tend to it with awareness, everything outside begins to bloom too. 2. Mastering the art of inner shielding. Let me ask you something. Have you ever had someone say something that just cut right through you? Maybe it was a friend's harsh words, a stranger's comment online, or someone you love saying something they can never take back. In that moment, your chest tightens. Your mind races. You replay their words again and again, as if each replay could make them hurt less. But it doesn't. It never does. Now, here's the truth no one tells us when we're growing up. No one can hurt you, unless you hand them the power to. There was once a woman named Claire. She worked hard, loved deeply, and tried her best to keep peace with everyone. But no matter what she did, there was always someone ready to criticize her. Her boss, her family, even people she thought were her friends. Every word they said felt like a knife. "You're too emotional. You should have done better. You're not enough." She carried those words like stones in her chest. Until one day, after yet another argument at work, she sat alone in her car, crying. Not because of what was said, but because she was tired of feeling broken every time someone spoke. That night, she stumbled across a quote by Buddha. "You will not be punished for your anger. You will be punished by your anger." And something clicked. It wasn't the criticism that was destroying her. It was how she held on to it, how she let it echo inside her. You see, when someone attacks you, with words, with blame, with judgment, they're not showing you who you are. They're showing you what's happening inside them. A peaceful person doesn't go around throwing stones. A person who feels whole doesn't need to tear others down. So when someone lashes out, pause, take a breath, and remember they are revealing their pain, not your truth. It's like this. Imagine someone hands you a burning coal, but you refuse to take it. Who gets burned? Not you. That's the art of inner shielding. It's not about building walls or pretending you don't care. It's about understanding energy and learning not to absorb what isn't yours. When Claire began to practice this, she did something simple yet powerful. Every time she felt attacked, she'd place her hand over her heart and silently say, "This pain doesn't belong to me." At first, it felt strange, even fake, but slowly, something changed. She stopped reacting to every insult, stopped trying to explain herself to people who didn't want to understand, stopped giving her peace away like it was free. She didn't become cold, she became calm, and the world noticed. People who once provoked her now felt awkward when their words didn't land. Because when you stop reacting, you stop feeding the fire. When you stay centered, you become untouchable. But let's be honest, this isn't easy. We live in a world that teaches us to defend, to clap back, to prove we're right. Our ego screams, "They can't talk to me like that." But wisdom whispers, "Their words only have power if you believe them." Next time someone criticizes you, try this. Instead of reacting immediately, pause for 3 breaths. Ask yourself, is this about me or about them? And then choose your response from stillness, not from ego. Because silence, when born from awareness, not fear, is one of the most powerful shields you'll ever have. Buddha taught that peace isn't found by controlling others, but by mastering your own mind. When you stop needing the world to treat you gently in order to feel whole, you discover a freedom that can't be taken away. Think of it like being in the middle of a storm. The wind may rage, the trees may bend, but the mountain doesn't move. That's what your inner strength can become. And the beautiful part? You don't have to win the argument. You don't have to prove your worth. You just have to stay still and let your peace speak louder than your defense ever could. When Claire finally understood this, she said something beautiful. "I used to think calmness was weakness. Now I see it's the highest form of strength." Because true power isn't about fighting back. It's about standing so rooted in who you are that no storm, no insult, no rejection can pull you away from your center. So the next time someone tries to hurt you, remember, you don't need to block them out. You just need to stop letting them in. Take a breath, return to yourself, and let your silence remind the world that your peace is not for sale. 3. The wisdom of non-reaction. Have you ever been misunderstood or unfairly blamed for something you didn't do? Maybe someone criticized you publicly. Maybe they twisted your words or spoke to you with anger, and your first instinct was to defend yourself, to fight back, to prove them wrong. I know that feeling. It burns inside. Your heart races. Your mind starts replaying every word, every tone, every gesture, as if your peace depends on setting the record straight. But here's the truth. It doesn't. In Buddhism, there's a teaching called the wisdom of non-reaction. It doesn't mean weakness. It doesn't mean pretending you're okay. It means mastering the art of staying free from other people's storms. Because when you react, you hand over your power. You let their chaos control your calm. You let their words dictate your worth. And suddenly, you're no longer living your truth, you're living their story. Let me tell you a story. A monk once walked through a village, known for being rude to strangers. As he passed, a man shouted insults at him, mocking his robes, his silence, his way of life. But the monk didn't say a word. He simply bowed gently and continued walking. Later, his companion asked, "Master, why didn't you respond? He insulted you." The monk smiled and said, "If someone offers you a gift and you refuse to take it, to whom does the gift belong?" That's the wisdom of non-reaction. The insult still belongs to the one who gave it. Think about it. Every time you react with anger, defensiveness, or frustration, you're accepting the gift of someone else's pain. And pain loves company. But when you pause, when you breathe before you respond, when you choose not to engage, you're saying, "I see your pain, but I won't make it mine." That's not indifference. That's freedom. Non-reaction isn't about suppressing emotions. It's about understanding them. It's seeing the anger rise inside you and choosing not to let it drive the car. It's noticing the urge to fight and realizing that silence can be the loudest answer. When you practice this kind of awareness, you stop reacting from the ego, that small, frightened voice that always needs to be right. Instead, you begin to respond from wisdom, the quiet, knowing that your peace doesn't depend on anyone else's behavior. Imagine this. You're at work. A colleague snaps at you for no reason. You feel that wave of irritation coming on, but instead of firing back, you take one deep breath and ask yourself, what pain might they be carrying right now? In that single moment, something shifts. You move from judgment to compassion, from reaction to understanding. And that's where real strength lives. Non-reaction is not about silence, it's about presence. It's about being so anchored in yourself that the world's noise can't shake you. The Buddha once said, "Just as a solid rock is not shaken by the wind, so the wise are not moved by praise or blame." When you stop being moved by the winds of approval or criticism, you start living from your center. You begin to taste real peace, the kind that doesn't depend on the weather of other people's moods. I used to think reacting was strength, that if I stayed quiet, people would walk all over me. But over time, I learned something different. Silence, when rooted in awareness, is power. Because it takes more courage to stay calm than to strike back. More wisdom to observe than to attack. Each time you resist reacting, you reclaim a piece of yourself. You stop feeding the endless cycle of conflict that drains your soul. And slowly, peace becomes your natural state, not something you chase. So the next time someone tries to provoke you, pause, breathe. Remember, what they say reflects them, not you. Let their words pass like wind through an open window. You don't have to hold on to them. You don't have to prove anything. When you choose peace over reaction, you don't just protect your calm. You inspire others to find theirs. That's the wisdom of non-reaction. It's not about winning the argument. It's about winning your freedom over the noise, the ego, and the need to be right. Because in that quiet space between what happens and how you respond, that's where your power lives. 4. Everyone you meet is a mirror. Have you ever met someone who just gets under your skin? Maybe it's that coworker who always interrupts, or the family member who criticizes everything you do, Or maybe it's a stranger, someone you barely know, who somehow triggers a storm of emotion inside you. We've all been there. You feel irritated, defensive, or even angry, and you tell yourself, they're the problem. But just what if, they're actually showing you something about yourself? There's a beautiful teaching in Buddhism. Everyone you meet is a mirror. Every person who crosses your path reflects something back to you. Your patience, your fears, your wounds, or your capacity for compassion. Some mirrors are kind. Some are harsh. But all of them are teachers, sent to help you see the parts of yourself that still need light. Let me tell you a story. A few years ago, I worked with someone I couldn't stand. No matter what I did, it was never enough. He was controlling, critical, and always needed to be right. Every time we talked, I left drained, angry, and resentful. For months, I complained about him to friends, to anyone who would listen. Until one day, my mentor said something I'll never forget. You keep describing him, but are you sure you're not describing a part of yourself? That question stopped me cold. At first, I resisted. I thought, no way, I'm nothing like him. But later, in a quiet moment, I realized there was a part of me that wanted control too. A part of me that feared being wrong. A part of me that also wanted to feel respected and heard. He wasn't just my coworker. He was my mirror. And when I saw that, something softened. The tension I carried began to dissolve, not because he changed, but because I did. When someone triggers you, it's not really about them. It's about the part of you that still feels unseen, unhealed, or unaccepted. Buddhism teaches that the world is your mirror. Every encounter reflects the state of your mind. If you meet kindness, it means kindness lives within you. If you meet anger and can't let it go, it's showing you where your peace still depends on others. Each person, pleasant or difficult, is helping you awaken to yourself. So here's a question worth asking. Who in your life right now challenges your peace the most? Instead of thinking, why are they like this? Try asking, what are they teaching me? Because sometimes, your greatest spiritual growth comes disguised as your most difficult relationships. When you start to see life this way, everything changes. The world stops being a battlefield and becomes a classroom. Every interaction, good or bad, becomes a sacred opportunity for awakening. That person who annoys you might be teaching you patience. The one who ignores you might be teaching you self-worth. The one who criticizes you might be showing you where you still seek approval. Suddenly, no experience is wasted. No person is random. Life, in its mysterious way, keeps sending you the exact lessons your soul needs to grow. When I began to look at people through this lens, everything softened. Instead of reacting, I began observing. Instead of judging, I started learning. And slowly, I began to feel lighter. Because the truth is, you can't change how people act, but you can change what you see through them. You can turn every trigger into a teacher. And that's how you transform pain into wisdom. Here's the deeper beauty. When you see everyone as a mirror, you start to understand that we're all connected. We're all walking each other home, reflecting each other's light and shadow along the way. The angry person is you in a different form. The kind person is you in another season. We are not separate. We are one consciousness, learning through each reflection. So the next time someone frustrates you, pause. Take a breath. Ask yourself, what is this moment showing me about me? Maybe it's calling for more patience. Maybe it's revealing an old wound ready to heal. Or maybe it's simply reminding you that peace begins within. When you live with that awareness, the world stops being against you, it starts working for you. Every person becomes a reflection of your growth. Every challenge becomes a doorway to wisdom. and every encounter becomes sacred, because everyone you meet is a mirror, showing you the way back to yourself. 5. Anchoring yourself with purpose. There are days when life feels like a storm. Everything moves fast. The news, the noise, the endless chase for something more. And before you realize it, you've drifted so far that you can't even remember why you started. Have you ever felt that way? Like you're busy every single day, but still feel strangely empty? It's not that you're doing too little. It's that you've forgotten your why. In a world full of distractions, the one thing that keeps you grounded, that keeps you from being swept away, is purpose. Purpose is like the anchor of your soul. When the winds of uncertainty blow, when people's opinions pull you in different directions, purpose reminds you who you are and where you're going. Buddha once said, "Your purpose in life is to find your purpose and give your whole heart and soul to it." It sounds simple, but living it, that's the real journey. Let me tell you about a woman I once met. Her name was Claire. On paper, her life looked perfect. A great job, a nice home, friends who admired her. But inside, she felt lost. Every morning she'd wake up with this heavy question in her chest. What am I even doing all this for? Her days were full, but her heart was empty. She'd chased deadlines, promotions, recognition, but none of it lasted. When something went wrong, she'd fall apart because her happiness was tied to everything outside of her. Then one day, in the middle of her chaos, she took a weekend off. No phone, no work, just silence. And in that silence, she wrote down one simple question. If nothing I owned, nothing I did, defined me, who would I be? That was the moment everything began to change. When Claire came back, she didn't have all the answers. But she had a new awareness. She didn't want to live by default anymore. She wanted to live on purpose. So she started small. Each morning, before checking her phone, she'd sit quietly and ask herself, what am I building today? Who am I becoming? Those two questions became her daily compass. And slowly, her life began to align. She stopped chasing what didn't matter. She started creating from the inside out. That's the power of purpose. It doesn't always tell you exactly what to do, but it gives meaning to why you do it. When you have a clear why, even the storms make sense. The pain, the failure, the rejection, they no longer feel like punishment. They become part of the process. Because purpose transforms suffering into strength and chaos into clarity. Without purpose, life feels like floating in an open sea. Every wave decides where you go. But with purpose, you become the lighthouse, steady, luminous, guiding yourself through the darkness. Buddhism teaches that true purpose isn't something you find outside yourself. It's not a title, a job, or a goal. It's the inner intention that fuels how you live this moment. Maybe your purpose right now is to learn patience. Maybe it's to care for someone you love. Maybe it's to heal, to grow, or to awaken. Purpose doesn't always shout. Sometimes it whispers through your intuition, through what brings you peace, through the quiet sense of, this feels right. When you move with that awareness, even ordinary moments, washing dishes, walking, listening, become sacred. So, let me ask you this. What grounds you when life gets loud? When everything falls apart, what keeps you steady? Take a moment and feel that. Because purpose isn't something you think about. It's something you live from. There will be days when your path feels blurry again. Days when you'll question everything. That's okay. Even the strongest trees sway in the wind. What matters is that your roots, your purpose, remain deep. You see, once you know why you're walking, the how always reveals itself. You stop rushing. You stop comparing. You stop trying to prove yourself. You begin to move from a place of calm, confidence, a quiet knowing that no matter what happens, you're walking in alignment with something true. So tomorrow morning, before you reach for your phone, reach for yourself. Ask, what am I building today? Who am I becoming? One firmisser. One fromisser. What am I becoming? Those two questions hold more power than any to-do list. Because when you live with purpose, you stop surviving and start living. Purpose turns ordinary days into sacred practice. It transforms confusion into clarity. And it anchors your heart in something no storm can move. Remember, in this ever-changing world, your purpose is your root. And when your roots are deep, no wind can shake you. 6. When your name is spoken without truth. Have you ever had your name twisted by someone's tongue, spoken in ways that didn't reflect who you truly are? Maybe it was a rumor at work, a misunderstanding among friends, or maybe it was just someone's casual comment that spread like wildfire, leaving behind the smoke of judgment. And you stand there, silently thinking, that's not me. Why would they say that? It hurts, doesn't it? Because we humans, deep down, want to be seen clearly. We want our truth to be known. But here's the thing. Sometimes, no matter how pure your intentions are, people will still see you through the lens of their own confusion. I remember a story about a young monk who once faced a painful accusation. A villager's daughter had become pregnant, and when pressed by her family, she pointed at the monk claiming he was the father. The villagers were furious. They cursed him, spat on him, called him names. But the monk simply bowed and said, "Is that so?" Months later, when the truth came out that he was innocent all along, the villagers felt ashamed and apologized. And the monk, still calm, said again, "Is that so?" You see, he never let other people's words stain the peace inside him. Because he knew something most of us forget. When someone speaks falsely about you, those words reflect them, not you. Their misunderstanding is a mirror of their mind, not a measure of your worth. We often think that defending ourselves will fix things. That if we just explain hard enough, prove hard enough, shout loud enough, truth will prevail. But have you ever noticed? The louder we try to correct lies, the more tangled we become in them. It's like trying to wipe mud off your face with muddy hands. It only spreads. The Buddha once said, like a solid rock is not shaken by the wind, the wise remain unmoved by praise or blame. And that's the real practice, to be that rock. To know that the wind will blow, but you don't have to move with it. Because the moment you let every false word shake you, you give your peace away. You hand over your power to the very people who misunderstand you. Let's bring this closer to our daily life. Imagine you post something heartfelt online, something that means a lot to you, and then a stranger leaves a cruel comment. Your instinct? You want to defend, to explain, to set the record straight. But pause for a second. Who are you really responding to? Are you replying to the truth or to someone else's pain disguised as anger? Most of the time, people speak from their own wounds. Their judgment isn't about you, it's a reflection of what's unresolved within them. And when you understand that, you stop absorbing every arrow that's thrown your way. Because the truth is, you are not what people say about you. You are what you choose to become in response. When your name is spoken without truth, your silence isn't weakness, it's mastery. It's the quiet strength that says, I don't need to prove my worth to noise. Let your actions be your response. Let your calm presence speak louder than your defense. I once heard someone say, if you stay true long enough, time will be your witness. And that's the beauty of integrity. It doesn't rush to prove itself. It simply is. The people who truly know you won't be swayed by whispers. And the ones who believe lies, perhaps they were never meant to stay. So why carry their misunderstanding like a burden? When we stop trying to clean every rumor, our hearts become lighter. We stop reacting to every gust of wind, and slowly we become the sky itself, vast, untouched, at peace. There's a quiet dignity in letting go. Not because you don't care about truth, but because you've realized truth doesn't need defending, it needs living. So the next time someone speaks your name without truth, pause, breathe. Ask yourself, do I need to carry this, or can I let the wind take it? Because no one can define you without your permission. No one can disturb your peace unless you open the door. You are not the stories told about you. You are the awareness that sees through them. Maybe that's what the monk understood all along. That peace isn't found in being liked or understood. It's found in knowing who you are, even when the world gets it wrong. So, when your name drifts through the air, wrapped in falsehood, smile gently. Let it go. Because the sky doesn't argue with the wind. It simply remains infinite, clear, and free. And so can you. Let your life, not your words, be the proof of who you are.
7. The quiet strength beyond fear and shame. There's a quiet moment, right before fear rises. You feel it in your chest, that tightening, that quiet voice whispering, "What if I'm not enough?" And right beside it, shame often follows. It's the echo that says, "You should have known better, you should have done more." Most of us spend our lives running from these two emotions, fear and shame, as if they're dangerous storms. But what if they're not here to destroy you? What if they're here to teach you? I once met a man named Daniel. From the outside, his life looked perfect: a good job, a stable home, a warm smile. But behind that smile, he carried a secret weight. He was constantly afraid of failure, afraid of disappointing others, afraid of not living up to his own image. And when fear whispered too loudly, shame would answer, "You're weak. You should have handled this by now." He spent years trying to silence those voices through distraction, through work, through pretending everything was fine. But they never went away. Until one day, in the middle of a quiet meditation retreat, something shifted. He realized that fear and shame weren't chasing him. He was the one running. And maybe if he stopped running, they'd stop too. That's the strange wisdom of the heart. Fear and shame lose their power the moment you turn toward them with compassion. Because they're not enemies, they're messages. Fear is trying to protect you from pain. Shame is trying to guide you back to integrity. But when we reject them, when we treat them like monsters, they grow louder. It's only when we sit with them, breathe with them, that they start to soften. Think about it. When a child is scared, you don't yell at them to be brave. You hold them. You listen. You tell them it's okay. What if you could do the same for yourself? Next time fear shows up, instead of asking, "Why am I feeling this?" try asking, "What is this trying to teach me?" Maybe it's showing you where you still care too much about others' approval. Maybe shame is reminding you of the values you've drifted from. Either way, both are guiding you home to a stronger, softer version of you. The Buddha once said, "Pain is certain, but suffering is optional." Fear and shame are part of being human. They visit everyone. But suffering begins when you resist their presence. When you say, "I shouldn't feel this way," you've already doubled your pain. But when you breathe into it, when you whisper to yourself, "It's okay to feel this," something magical happens. You begin to heal. Because acceptance isn't surrender. It's strength in disguise. Daniel told me that the moment he finally sat with his fear, eyes closed, heart open, he felt something shift. Underneath the trembling, there was stillness. Underneath the shame, there was tenderness. And right beneath both, there was courage. Not the loud kind of courage that shouts and fights, but the quiet one that says, "I will stay." That quiet strength, it's the kind that carries you through storms without breaking. The kind that doesn't need to prove anything, because it knows. I am still whole, even when I'm afraid. I am still worthy, even when I feel ashamed. So ask yourself, what if you stopped running from fear? and started listening to it? What if every time shame tried to pull you down, you met it with kindness instead of criticism? The truth is, every emotion you've ever tried to escape has been waiting for your embrace. And the moment you turn toward it, you begin to transform. Because healing doesn't come from fighting your shadows. It comes from shining light on them. Let's be honest, the world teaches us to hide, to wear confidence like armor, to pretend we've figured it all out. But pretending doesn't make us strong. It only makes us tired. True strength is quiet. It's the willingness to be honest with yourself, with life. It's the moment you say, "Yes, I'm scared." And instead of collapsing, you take one small step forward anyway. That's courage. Not the absence of fear, but the decision to walk with it. When you meet fear with compassion, it becomes clarity. When you meet shame with understanding, it becomes humility. And when you meet both with love, they transform into wisdom. Because everything you've been running from, every wound, every insecurity, is trying to guide you back home to your heart. So, the next time fear knocks, open the door gently. Say, "I see you." When shame whispers, "You're not enough," place your hand over your heart and answer, "I am learning, and that is enough." And in that moment, you'll feel something extraordinary. The storm quiets, the walls soften, and beneath it all, a calm, steady strength begins to rise. A strength that doesn't come from control, but from compassion. A strength that doesn't come from perfection, but from presence. This is the quiet power beyond fear and shame. It's the strength of a heart that no longer hides from itself. And when you find it, nothing and no one can take it away. Fear and shame don't come to punish you. They come to awaken you. Living in rhythm with nature. Have you ever watched a tree in autumn? Its leaves don't resist when the wind calls them home. They fall softly, gracefully, without fear, without regret. The tree doesn't cling to summer, nor does it mourn the coming winter. It simply allows life to unfold, one season at a time. That's the quiet wisdom of nature. It doesn't rush. It doesn't fight what is. It moves in rhythm, a rhythm so ancient, so effortless, and somehow everything still gets done. I once met an old monk who lived by the mountains. Every morning, he'd walk barefoot through the forest trail near his hut. One day, I asked him, "Master, why do you wake up so early just to walk? Don't you get tired of doing the same thing every day?" He smiled and said, "When you walk in rhythm with nature, every step is new." Then he paused, looked up at the trees, and added, "The world outside is never truly still. The wind moves, the rivers sing, the earth breathes. But when you move with it, not against it, you begin to hear the song of peace." We live in a world that glorifies control. We want everything to go our way, our plans, our timelines, our outcomes. We chase success like it's a finish line, always afraid to fall behind. But the more we try to control life, the more life slips through our fingers. It's like holding on to water. The tighter you squeeze, the faster it disappears. Because the truth is, nothing in nature clings. The clouds don't hold their rain forever. The ocean doesn't resist the tide. Even the sun sets each evening without fear it won't rise again. So why do we? Why do we resist what's already changing? Maybe because we've forgotten that we are nature too. We are not separate from the rhythm of the world. We are part of it. Your heart beats in waves. Your breath rises and falls. Your emotions ebb and flow just like the seasons. When you fight change, you're fighting your own nature. I remember a time when I was overwhelmed. Everything in my life felt uncertain. Plans collapsing, relationships shifting, nothing seemed solid anymore. I spent weeks trying to fix everything, rewriting, rethinking, recontrolling. Until one morning, I stepped outside and saw a single leaf drifting down. It didn't rush. It didn't resist. It simply floated, dancing with the air, before resting quietly on the ground. And for the first time, I realized maybe peace isn't something I need to chase. Maybe it's something I fall into when I stop resisting. Nature doesn't rush, yet everything is accomplished. That's one of the most profound truths I've learned from the Tao and from Buddhist teachings. The river doesn't push against its path, it flows naturally toward the ocean. And still, it gets there. In the same way, your life has its own current, a natural direction, a sacred unfolding. You don't need to force it, you just need to flow with it. But flowing doesn't mean giving up. It means trusting that things unfold in their own time, that even when you can't see it, growth is happening beneath the surface. Just as a seed in winter looks dead, but in truth, it's gathering strength for spring. Maybe your winter has arrived. A period of stillness, loss, or uncertainty. It's okay, don't rush it. Winter isn't a mistake, it's part of the rhythm. In nature, everything has its season. The blossoming of joy, the shedding of pain, the quiet pause of reflection, the rebirth of hope. Each moment prepares you for the next. And when you live with that awareness, even the hard days begin to feel sacred. When you align yourself with the rhythm of nature, life stops feeling like a race. You stop needing to prove anything to others, or even to yourself. You begin to see that peace isn't at the top of the mountain, it's in the step you take right now. In the breath that enters, and the breath that leaves. In the trust that everything, yes, everything is unfolding as it should. So take a moment today. Step outside. Feel the breeze on your face. Listen to the hum of life around you. Notice how the earth keeps turning, the sun keeps rising, the waves keep returning to shore, all without effort, all without fear. That same intelligence that guides the stars is guiding you too. You don't need to force your way forward. You just need to remember your place in the great rhythm of things. Because when you live in harmony with nature, when you stop fighting the seasons of your own life, something beautiful happens. The noise fades. The mind softens. And in that stillness, peace arises, not from control, but from connection. That's when you truly understand. You are not behind. You are not lost. You are exactly where you need to be, moving in rhythm with the pulse of life itself. Nature doesn't rush, yet everything is accomplished. Let that truth sink deep into your heart. Because once you trust the rhythm, you'll find that peace has been walking beside you all along. The trees, the rivers, the wind, they're not separate from you. They are you, reminding you how to return home. 9. The power of letting go. You know, we often think that letting go means losing something, a dream, a person, or a piece of who we were. But the truth is, letting go isn't about loss. It's about liberation. There's a story I once heard about a monk who carried a bowl of water. He held it so tightly, afraid it would spill, that his hands trembled and the water rippled endlessly. One day, his teacher said gently, "If you wish for stillness, stop grasping." The moment he loosened his grip, the water became calm again. That's what life often teaches us. The more we hold on, the more we suffer. I remember when I was younger, I couldn't let go of what people thought of me. A single word of criticism could ruin my entire day. I kept replaying conversations in my mind, wondering if I'd said the wrong thing, if I'd disappointed someone, if I wasn't enough. It took years to realize that the opinions I was chained to weren't real prisons. I was the one holding the key all along. Every time I let go of one expectation, one fear, one false image of who I thought I needed to be, I felt lighter. Letting go doesn't mean you stop caring. It means you stop carrying. We carry so much the weight of regret, the pain of rejection, the endless need for approval. But have you ever noticed, the more you try to control everything, the more life slips through your fingers. It's like trying to hold water in your hands. The tighter you squeeze, the less you have left. Only when you open your palms can you feel the coolness of it flow freely again. In Buddhism, there's a simple but profound truth. Attachment is the root of suffering. It sounds harsh, doesn't it? But think about it. How often do we suffer because we want something to stay exactly as it is? A relationship, a job, a version of ourselves that no longer fits. We try to freeze time, to make things last forever. But life isn't meant to be frozen, it's meant to flow. And when we resist that flow, we drown in it. Letting go isn't a one-time act, it's a daily practice. Every morning, we wake up with a choice. Do we carry yesterday's pain into today, or do we breathe deeply and start again? Maybe you lost someone you loved. Maybe life didn't turn out the way you hoped. Maybe the person in the mirror isn't who you imagined you'd become. That's okay, because even the trees let go of their leaves to be reborn again in spring. When we let go, we make space. Space for peace, space for growth, space for what's real. You see, holding on feels safe, but it keeps us stuck. We cling to memories because they remind us who we were. We cling to anger because it makes us feel powerful. We cling to pain because it justifies our story. But when we let go, something magical happens. We stop identifying with the pain. We start remembering who we were before the world told us who to be. So, how do you actually let go? Not by force, not by pretending you don't care, but by softening, by sitting quietly with what hurts without judgment. When a thought of resentment comes, you simply see it, breathe through it, and say, "This is just a thought, it's not who I am." Over time, the thoughts pass like clouds, and what remains is the clear sky of awareness, peaceful, unshaken, free. If you've ever stood by the ocean and watched the waves crash, you know, no wave can stay forever. It rises, it peaks, and it dissolves. That's how emotions are meant to move too. Let them come, let them go. You are the ocean, not the waves. And maybe that's what letting go truly means. Not giving up, but trusting that life has its own rhythm, its own wisdom. The things meant for you will return with ease, and the things not meant for you will fade without force. There's a deep peace waiting on the other side of release, a silence where the heart finally whispers, This is freedom." So the next time you feel yourself holding on too tightly to a person, a memory, a plan, take a deep breath. And remember, letting go isn't the end of something. It's the beginning of everything. Cultivating compassion for yourself. Let me ask you something. When was the last time you truly spoke kindly to yourself? Not the kind of kindness you give to others, but the kind that says, "It's okay, you're doing your best." We're often so quick to comfort a friend, to forgive someone we love, but when it comes to ourselves, the voice inside turns cold. We criticize. We blame. We replay every mistake as if we could somehow punish ourselves into becoming better. But Buddha once said, "You, yourself, as much as anybody in the entire universe, deserve your love and affection." And maybe that's where healing truly begins, not when the world finally treats us right, but when we do. I remember a woman I met during a mindfulness retreat years ago. She sat in silence most of the time, eyes down, shoulders tense. When she finally spoke, she whispered, "I can forgive everyone who hurt me, except myself." She'd been carrying years of guilt for choices she made when she didn't know better, for words she wished she could take back. But as the days passed, I saw something shift. One morning, during meditation, tears ran down her face. She said softly, "I finally told myself, it's okay to rest now." And that's when she began to heal, not by escaping her pain, but by embracing herself with compassion. You see, self-compassion isn't weakness. It's courage. It's standing before your own heart wounded, imperfect, and choosing to love it anyway. Because being human means you will fail, you will fall short, you will say things you don't mean. But if every mistake becomes a reason to hate yourself, you'll never grow, only shrink. What if, instead, every failure was a lesson in tenderness? What if you treated yourself the same way you'd treat a child who's learning to walk with patience, with warmth, with encouragement? When you speak to yourself with love, the mind softens. When you forgive yourself, the heart opens. And in that opening, peace begins to bloom. But here's the truth. Many of us resist. We can't pour from an empty cup. You cannot give genuine love to others while starving your own soul. Think about it. How can you truly forgive when you haven't forgiven yourself? How can you offer peace when your own mind is a battlefield? The compassion you give outward must first grow inward. Buddhism teaches that metta, loving kindness, starts with the self. It's not selfish. It's the foundation for all other love. Because once you learn to hold your own pain gently, you stop projecting it onto others. You stop demanding perfection from them and from yourself. Let's be honest. The hardest person to love is often the one staring back at us in the mirror. We notice every flaw. We remember every failure. But rarely do we stop and say, "Thank you for surviving." What if, each morning, you began your day not with a list of things you need to fix, but with a single whisper? May I be kind to myself today? Imagine how differently your day might unfold. How your shoulders might relax, your breath might deepen, your heart might feel a little lighter. Because self-compassion isn't about ignoring your flaws. It's about seeing them clearly and still choosing to love yourself through them. There's a beautiful metaphor in Buddhist teaching. When a lotus grows, it rises from the mud. The mud doesn't make the lotus dirty. It makes it possible. Your struggles, your regrets, your wounds, they are your mud. And from that mud, compassion grows. So instead of asking, "What's wrong with me?" ask, "What is this pain trying to teach me about love?" That shift, that single moment of gentleness toward yourself, can change everything. Here's something you can try tonight. Before you fall asleep, place your hand over your heart. Take a slow breath and silently say, "I forgive you, I love you, I am learning." You might feel nothing at first. Maybe it feels awkward or forced, but keep doing it. Because the heart doesn't heal through logic, it heals through kindness, repeated again and again. Over time, you'll start to notice the voice inside becoming softer. You'll notice that when you make a mistake, instead of spiraling into shame, you'll take a breath and simply start again. That's compassion in action. So, if you remember only one thing from this, let it be this: you are not your past. You are not your mistakes. You are the one who's learning how to love through them. When you offer yourself compassion, you don't just heal yourself. You heal every relationship around you. Because love, when it's real, always begins within. So today, take a moment. Be gentle. Forgive yourself for not knowing what you didn't know before you learned it. As the Buddha taught, you yourself deserve your love and affection. And maybe, just maybe, the peace you've been searching for has been waiting all along, right there, inside your own heart. 11. Stillness is the ultimate freedom. Have you ever noticed how loud the world has become? Even when we're alone, it never really feels quiet. There's always a phone buzzing, a thought racing, a plan forming. And somewhere deep down, we start to believe that peace will come only when the noise stops. But the truth is, silence isn't about the absence of sound. It's about the presence of stillness. And stillness, my friend, is something you carry within. I once met a monk in northern Thailand who lived in a small hut by a river. Every morning, he'd sweep the leaves from the path, slowly and silently. I asked him, "Don't you get lonely out here? Don't you ever feel like you're missing out on the world?" He smiled gently and said, "When the mind is restless, even in a quiet forest, it hears thunder. But when the mind is still, even in the middle of a storm, it feels peace." That moment never left me. Because I realized most of us aren't seeking peace, we're seeking silence from ourselves. We tell ourselves, "I'll be calm once my job is stable. I'll be happy when I find the right person. I'll finally rest when life slows down." But life never slows down. The world will always be moving, unpredictable, messy, and loud. The only way to find freedom is to stop trying to control the noise and start listening beneath it. Stillness isn't the end of movement. It's the calm center inside the motion. Like the eye of a storm, untouched, unwavering, and free. There's a story in Zen about a warrior who came to a master asking how to find enlightenment. The master poured tea into the warrior's cup until it overflowed. "Stop!" the warrior shouted. "It's already full." The master smiled, just like your mind. When we're filled with thoughts, expectations, and judgments, there's no room for truth to enter. Stillness is the space where wisdom reveals itself. Because when your mind stops running, you start seeing. You notice the way sunlight dances through leaves, the rhythm of your breath, the subtle hum of life around you. You begin to realize that peace was never missing. You were. I used to believe stillness was something to achieve, that if I meditated hard enough or lived simply enough, I would finally arrive. But then I understood stillness isn't a destination. It's the awareness that's already here, beneath everything. You can find it while washing dishes. You can touch it while sitting in traffic. You can breathe it in during the chaos of a Monday morning. Because stillness isn't about stopping life. It's about being fully present within it. There was a time in my life when everything felt like noise. Emails, deadlines, worries, a constant hum of more. One night, exhausted, I just sat. No music, no phone, just me and the quiet. At first, it was uncomfortable. The silence felt heavy, almost loud. But as I kept breathing, something shifted. The thoughts didn't disappear, but I stopped chasing them. And in that small space between one thought and the next, I felt at peace. It wasn't dramatic, it wasn't mystical. It was simply enough. You see, true freedom isn't found in escaping the noise. It's found in no longer being owned by it. When you stop reacting to every sound, every opinion, every fear, the world loses its power to shake you. That's when you realize you can sit in the middle of chaos and still be calm. You can face uncertainty without collapsing. Because peace is no longer something you're looking for. It's something you are. Maybe that's what enlightenment really means. Not glowing halos or divine visions, but the quiet knowing that you can rest right here, right now. In the middle of it all, the world outside might still roar, but your heart becomes a lake deep, still, reflecting everything, clinging to nothing. That's the beauty of stillness. It doesn't change what's happening around you. It changes how you move through it. So tonight, before you sleep, try this. Sit quietly. Close your eyes. Listen not for silence, but for the stillness behind every sound. The hum of the air conditioner, the distant traffic, your own breath. It's all part of the same symphony. Let it be. Let yourself be. And in that letting go, notice how peace begins to rise. Not because the world grew quieter, but because you did. That's the freedom no one can take away. That's the stillness the Buddha spoke of. The awakening that blooms when the storm no longer moves you. Because when you can sit calmly in the center of the storm, you've already found the eye of awakening, the unshakable, timeless peace within. Life reflection lesson. You know, peace isn't something you stumble upon one day. It's something you remember. Because it's always been inside you, quiet, patient, waiting for you to stop searching outside and finally turn inward. We spend so much of our lives trying to control everything, our schedule, our relationships, the opinions of others, even the weather of our own emotions. But the truth is, peace doesn't come from control. It comes from how we respond when things don't go our way. Think about it. The wind can't shake a mountain. It moves around it, howls, storms, but the mountain remains still. That's the kind of peace life is inviting you to remember. When you live with purpose, not chasing every distraction, but knowing why you wake up every morning, you start to move differently. You speak slower. You react softer. You begin to protect your mind like a sacred garden, careful with what you allow to enter. And slowly, you notice something magical. The world stops feeling like a battlefield and starts feeling like a mirror. Every person, every conflict, every frustration, they all become reflections, showing you what's left to heal inside yourself. Even nature whispers this truth. Watch the river, it never fights the rocks. It simply flows around them. The tree doesn't rush to grow. yet it reaches the sky. Maybe peace is the same. It's not about forcing stillness, but remembering how to flow. So, when someone tries to shake your calm, when life throws chaos your way, take a deep breath and ask yourself, am I the storm or am I the mountain? Because peace isn't something you find after fixing everything. It's what arises when you stop needing to fix anything at all. And maybe, just maybe, the most powerful thing you can do is let go. Let go of the story that says you're not enough. Let go of the need to win every argument. Let go of the fear that silence means weakness. The moment you do, you'll feel something familiar. That quiet presence you've known since you were a child before the world told you who to be. That's peace. It never left you. You just forgot where to look. So tonight, when you sit in stillness, maybe under the moonlight, maybe in the noise of your living room, take a moment to remember. You are the mountain. You are the calm beneath the storm. And you've always been home. If this message reminds you of someone who could use a little stillness today, send it their way. Because sometimes, peace doesn't spread by teaching. It spreads by remembering, together.